ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna. So we will continue our discussion. So here the Supreme Lord Kapila is explaining. We'll just take 2-3 translations before to see the connection. So here he is giving how uh, how bhakti, which is very powerful, and how it should be performed. So there are some very important points he has mentioned. Just we'll read the translations. One who offers me respect, but is envious of the bodies of others, is therefore a separatist and never attain peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards me. Then he says that, so he's explaining basically the if we see, he is explaining about how the practice should happen for a person who want to progress. So this is all for bhakti only. So he told that, from a devotee should always try to hear about the spiritual matters and should always utilize his time by chanting the holy name of Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple. Uh, and although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. And he says that when one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing my transcendental qualities. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and all immediately catches the senses of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness can catch the super soul who is equally present everywhere. So by worshiping in that way, we'll be able to perceive super soul. I am present in every living entity as a super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of deity in the temple, it is simply imitation. So it will not have an effect. We should be very respectful. One who worships deity of Godhead in temple but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations in ashes. So it's just a waste of time. And then he says that one who offers respect but is envious of bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attain peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. So many times Lord is trying to stress the same point in different ways, that how we should be very respectful to others so that our mind is not defiled. Mind is pure and that is how mind becomes calm and you will be able to attain. So it has a proper scientific reason if you see in that way. And then he says, okay, my dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. So here we have seen some very important point. Prabhupada says one should exhibit his compassion for ignorant living entities by distributing prasadam. Distribution of prasadam to the ignorant mass of people is essential for persons who make offering to the personality of Godhead. So we have discussed how we should regularly distribute prasadam. But if we have no real sense of devotion and no real sense of Lord's presence everywhere, when we are lacking in devotional service, in such a state of ignorance, we cannot offer anything acceptable to the Lord. And then the Lord says, performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes his presence in his own heart and in the heart of other living entities. So this also we discuss, if We do not, even though discharging his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit. So that's what Prabhupada says. And then, as a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of differential outlook. So this we have seen. The cause of fear is uh, because of separatist mentality. So Bhayam Ditya Abhiniveshatasya. So this is the main cause of fear for all living entities. We have to come out of these conditionings. This fear is because we are not able to see the connection between a Supreme Lord and the living entities. And therefore, the next is, although charitable gifts and attention, we as well as through friendly behavior and by giving all to be alike, one should propitiate me who abide in all creatures as their very self. So this is another very important. So this is applicable. Actually, devotees also should also come to that level. So we may be having the highest faith, but our conditionings are very strong. So the conditioning is what? We are still attached to our own things in this world. So this charitable gifts and attention as well as friendly behavior, this is very much needed because that will help us to overcome our conditioned nature. Conditioned nature is what? I am attached. So we have to make a conscious endeavor to come out of attachment. We may be doing devotional service. Outside peoples, they may not have so much faith or they don't have any pure devotional faith. And they also may be very charitable. They are doing so much welfare activities. They are sacrificing so much, their life and soul and everything. But the point is, they don't have pure devotional soul. So, in that way, if you see, devotees are much more superior. But what is the thing with the devotees? We have pure devotional faith, but our conditions are much more stronger compared to these people who are quite detached. Now we have to overcome our conditioning with the help of the faith which we got. Their conditioning is less, but they don't have pure devotional faith. That is their misfortune. So we have the fortune of uh, we have the fortune of having pure devotional faith, but our conditionings are very strong. So here we have to see the difference. So for outside who are like philanthropic people or very charitable people, so jnanis or karmis who are very high standard people, their conditions are less, but no pure devotional faith. But for devotees, they may be having less conditions, but many of us, what we see, this less conditioning is very attractive also because it is in goodness. So this is because of mode of goodness, they have less conditionings. But we are devotees, we came in all situations. So we have pure devotional faith, but our conditionings are very strong, ignorance and passion. So this is actually why it is important. So we see that outsiders are more charitable and they are very friendly and they are sacrificing and all. That is because they are in mode of goodness. So for us, the responsibility is we have to work on giving charity regularly to overcome our conditionings. Not that okay, whole life I'll be with my wife and children and my husband and I'll go back home back to God. It is not possible like that. You can be there, but they should be detached also. They should give up that mentality of uh, enjoying, lording over. They have to be in a mood of service and they have to become internally detached at least. Then only it is possible to overcome. Otherwise, it is not possible. This is the mistake that people have. They think, okay, we can do anything, and then suddenly Krishna Prem will come. So it's not going to happen like that. And it it should not be misunderstood that because the super soul is dwelling within the heart of living entity, the individual soul has become equal with the Lord. So this we have discussed also that Prabhupada is trying to explain this Daridra Narayana and opulences of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is there in the heart, but is not contaminated. Then it says living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O Blessed Mother, and among them living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals that develop consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. Now he is telling the growth in terms of consciousness. So now he's changing the topic. He just told till now that okay, you worship in this particular way, and people who are in a who wanted to uh, this aspect of Paramatma, and you have to see the Supreme Lord, and then you continue worshipping. Now he's changing the topic. He's telling the development of consciousness. So first he says inanimate objects. So living entities are superior to inanimate objects, and in inanimate objects who display the symptoms, life symptoms are better, and animals have developed consciousness are better than them, and still are those who developed sense perceptions. Now, Prabhupada says, in the previous verse, it is explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior. And in this verse, the following verse, the description of different grades of living entities. So the connection is, Lord is telling you should honor. Okay, I will honor, but how should I honor them? Based on the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. So then Prabhupada gives this example of a tiger. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of Supreme Personality of God, and Super Soul, Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as a Super Soul. Does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasad. So, the many saintly persons in the jungle do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasadam foodstuffs to them. The tiger comes, takes the food and go away, just as a dog does. Oh, they have pet tigers also. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. Very important. If Prabhupada will become unpopular, many of the statements of Prabhupada are not accepted by the so-called liberals now. They feel offended by Prabhupada some of the statements. But Prabhupada has to tell the truth. Because of their uncleanliness, cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman. So if you say this statement, then they will don't consider as a gentleman only, but are so trained that they can stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasadam to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but that does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. Actually, nowadays, now they get the dogs. and cats get much better treatment than human beings also. The cost of purchasing good breed of cats and dogs, they're in lakhs. I think some type of cats are in few lakhs of rupees. The feeling of equality must be treated. So now why they are treating? So unfortunately, what happens is they are treating the dogs like that. They get a dog body next life. Unfortunately, that is the, I don't know whether they will consider it advantage or disadvantage, but they are going to get, because they are so conscious. They become conscious about the dog. They are so much conscious. We have our in our friend. Yeah, we can show compassion, but they should not come inside the house. We have in our friend when Mataji stays. So whole day she's having a pet dog, German Shepherd, very huge one, and she whole day she will be chanting the name of the dog. you know, the she means after her work she's with the dog only, and the dog always barks and she's shouting, "Keep quiet," and she treats as if her child. And we don't have any problem. The problem is the consciousness problem. She's so much meditating on the dog. Instead of serving God, she's serving dog. So that will have the problem. The first division is made between dead stone like matter and the living organism. A living organism sometimes manifested even in stone. So some mountains have life also. And hills and mountains, they have life. So even experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. We have Govardhan Hill. This is due to the presence of soul within the stone. About that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness. And the next manifestation is development of sense perception. So here the stones are having life, but they don't have consciousness, developed consciousness. And some living entities have developed consciousness, but they don't have development of sense perceptions. Even like fishes and all, no? They don't have much sense perceptions. They don't have much taste. They just eat anything. There's no taste sense buds for them. And like some animals like snakes and all, they will not have much taste. They just eat anything. But even cows and all, if you see their level of sense, they have sense perception, but they also eat very less type of food only. They cannot eat much variety. They'll eat only grass and some sort of different varieties in grass, but it is grass only. But our sense perception is very high. We need many varieties of food and we can perceive them also. When we are very small, when we are say 1 2 years old, that time our sense perception is very less. We can only eat some sweet or anything, but we will not know all other items, only chocolates. But as we grow, then we want many varieties. There should be sour, there is salt, sweet, everything is combined. That makes our enjoyment much better. So similarly, the sense perception is when it grows. So in heavenly planets, we will not be able to even imagine also what level of sense perception they will have. Much, much higher, and that's why they enjoy nicely. And now, when a living entity he goes to when he crosses the universe, he enters the first layer of covering, which is made of earth. We have the covering within the universe. The first covering is earth, then water, then fire. So like that, the coverings are there. When a person crosses Brahmaloka, even the sense perception in Brahmaloka is very high. You can enjoy like anything. And when a living entity reaches this where the earth covering is there, his sense of smell is so acute. Like no, he has very very high level of sense perception, especially with the smell. He can enjoy unlimitedly. Where Varahadev and Lakshmi Devi are there in that layer of creation. It's a covering within the universe. And there are living entities who are enjoying that sort of sense enjoyment, the yogis. So, like that, every level there are taste is at water. Like if you want to really enjoy the sense of taste, we have some here and there. We have very small ability in the taste also. We'll not be able to enjoy everything, but that is available more and more higher. And then Brahma Jyoti, and then what to speak of spiritual world. So, in the Moksha Dharma section of Mahabharata, it is said the trees have developed sense perception. They can see and smell. We know by experience that trees can see. Sometimes in its growth, large tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that trees can see. So Prabhupada is ahead of J.C. Bose, Jagdish Chandra Bose, and people have got some Nobel Prize. Of course, Prabhupada is quoting from the Shastras, where it is proven because Jagdish Chandra Bose he proved that how the living entities have life by showing how they have conscious and how they respond to stimuli. So in that way, he tried to prove. And of course, he didn't prove that they have eyes, but Moksha Dharma is of Mahabharata says that they have eyes. And it says, Tatrapi sparsha vedhibhya prayara rasa vedhinaha तेभ्यो गन्धविदश्रेष्ठास्ततः साब्दविधो वरा. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed sense of hearing. So within that also, and we'll see what Prabhupada has to say on this. Although Westerners accept that Darwin first expounded the doctrine of evolution, the science of is not new. The development of evolutionary process was known long before from the Bhagavatam, which was written 5000 years ago. There are records of the statements of Kapila Muni, who was present almost in the beginning of creation. This knowledge has existed since the Vedic time, and all these sequences are disclosed in Vedic literature. The theory of gradual evolution as anthropology is not new to the Vedas. So growth is also very logical because first if the lowest is what dead matter, and then above matter is water, then above is fire, air, and ether. So ether has sound. So the development of these things are also like that. So first is that the smell, then taste. So this is inferior taste, then sight, then smell. Sorry, then touch, and then sound. Sound is sense of ability to. So the growth, the conscious, the what do you say, evolution we count in that way. So it is said here that among trees there are also evolutionary processes. Different kinds of trees have touch perception. It is better. It is said that better than the trees are fish because fish has developed the sense of taste. Better than fish are bees who have developed the sense of smell. And better than them are serpents because serpents have developed the sense of hearing. In the darkness of night, a snake can find its eatable simply by hearing frogs very pleasing cry, pleasant cry. So here actually Prabhupada says that sense of smell uh, better than fish or bees who have developed the sense of smell. So first is actually this is not the correct sequence. Prabhupada gave, we'll write the sequence here. So evolution is sense of touch. Touch. And then comes this, then it is better than trees or fish because they have a sense of taste. And after the taste, there is development of smell. And then there is development of hearing. In the darkness of night, a snake can hear the frog croaking. The snake can understand there is a frog and he captures the frog simply because of its sound vibration. This example is sometimes given for a person who vibrates sound simply for death. One may have a very nice tongue that can vibrate some sound like the frog, but that kind of vibration is simply calling death. The best use of tongue and of sound vibration is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. So this is so here we can see how it should use. So here sense of touch is for the trees. Here trees have sense of touch, and taste is for fish, and smell is for the bees, and here it is snake. So like that, we can remember. This is Rupa Bheda Vidastatra Tatra Chobhyato Dhataha Tesham Bahupada Shreshtas Chatushpadas Tato Dipat. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. So here comes the ability to see. The living entities who can perceive sound, the form. So after here, if you go, it is after hearing is seeing. So this is the sequence. Better than those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth. Now it is, now from here it comes, the five elements are over. Now within their Jnanendriyas, now it is coming to Karmendriyas with the structure of body. Previously it was the sense perceptions only. Rupa, Gandha, Sparsha. Now it is coming to the senses. So mouth is one of the gross senses. Now it is starting with that development of upper and lower set of teeth. And better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadruple, and better still are the human beings. So many legs, then we have legs which are classified. It is said that certain birds, such as crow, can distinguish one form from another. Living entities that have many legs, like the wasp, are better than plants and grass, which have no legs. Four-legged animals are better than many-legged living entities, and better than that, the animals is the humans who have two legs. So now is Karmendriyas. ततो वर्णाश्च तत्वारस्तेषां ब्रह्मण उत्तमः ब्राह्मण्येष्व अपि वेदोज्ञो हि अत्र ज्ञो व्यधिकस्तथा. Among human beings, the society which is divided according to quality of work is better. And so here another way of another thing for comparison is actually fingers also. The growth in the fingers that actually tells the development of a living entity. The most part of our brain is controlling the fingers. If you see the diagram of body brain connections, the maximum part is for the fingers. If any other living entities, they don't have these fingers. So most important organ for human beings. Three specialities human have. One is in fineness of speech, fingers, and third is the ability to think, which are not available in other living entities. That is also one way of distinguishing. Here, Kapil Dev is giving further. He says, among human beings, the society which is divided according to the quality and work is best. And that in that society, the intelligent men who are designated as Brahmanas are best. Among the Brahmanas, one who studies the Vedas, Veda Patat Bhaved Vipra. So Dvija Vipra, and among Brahmanas who studies Vedas and who knows the actual purport of Vedas, Brahma Janati iti Brahman. So here we have Dvija, Vipra, and Brahman. So these are the three categories. The system of four classifications. So Prabhupada explains this how we have the four class divisions. And he says, Atrajnat samshayas-cheta tatashreyan swakarmakrit mukta sangastato bhuyan ado gadha dharma atmanaha. Better than Brahmanas who know the purport of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts, and better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. So within that also there are categories. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination. Better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of reward. So here the distinctions are Tasmad Brahmana Uttamaha. So Brahmana is Brahmanasva api Vedognya, who has known Vedas. Ito Arthagnya Vyadikastata, who has understood the purport of the Vedas. So he is more better, he is much more superior to this person. So like that. And here, better than Brahmanas who know the purport of the Vedas. But he can dissipate all doubts. He's much better than him. And better than him is strictly following. Here it is swakarma, prescribed duties. Like there are six categories that are explained here. Better than him, one who is liberated. So he is Jivan Mukta. But devotee is much superior. So before that, there are two categories. Arthagnya Brahmana refers to one who has made a thorough analysis. Three specialities of human beings. I told one is fingers. We can hold things very properly. We are able to construct and all. Second is refined speech. Animals have some language, but they don't have language like us. We have thousands of languages within this world, and very refined speech we have. Animals, they make few sounds here and there. They only make some sounds. They cannot have language, and we have ability to think. So these are the three specialities humans compared to animals. Arthajna Brahmana refers to one who has made a thorough analytical study of the absolute truth and who knows that the absolute truth is realized in three different phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma. If someone not only has this knowledge but is able to clear all doubts if questioned about absolute truth, he is better. Further, there may be a learned Brahmana Vaishnava who can explain the and clearly and eradicate odd loads. But if he does not follow the Vaishnava principles, then he is not situated on a higher level. One must be able to clear all doubts and simultaneously be situated in the Brahmanical characteristics. Such a person who knows the purport of the Veda injunction, who can employ the principles laid down in the Vedic literature and who teaches his disciples in that way, is called an Acharya. So this is Vaishnavas. Within Vaishnavas also we have Acharyas. The position of an Acharya is that he executes devotional service with no desire for elevation to higher position of life. Just wanted to serve. The highest perfectional Brahmana is a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava who knows the science of absolute truth, but is not able to preach such knowledge to others, is described as being in the lower stage. One who is able to understand the principles of science of God, but can also preach, is in the second stage, and who not only can preach but also sees everything in the absolute and absolute truth in everything is in the highest class. So here Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishta is based on what? This is classification based on how much he is understanding the Shastras and able to present it. So here there are three categories that are explained. Who knows here the absolute truth is realized in three. So this category of people are who knows that absolute truth in three different phases. And there are other person who clears all doubts. So this is the fourth category. This is fifth category who can clear all doubts. Further, there is a Brahmana Vaishnava. So who can clearly eradicates all doubts. But if he does not follow Vaishnav, then he is not situated. One must be able to clear all doubts and simultaneously be situated in Brahmanica. So he is a Brahmana plus Vaishnava. So this is the sixth category. He becomes a Vaishnava. Tasmanmaya arpita sesha क्रियार्तात्मा निरन्तरः मय्यर्पितात्मनः पुंसो मयि सन्न्यस्तकर्मणः न पश्यामि परं भूतम् अकृतुः समदर्शनात्. Therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of me, and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything upon me without cessation. So now Lord is concluding. Therefore means is concluding. Is concluding what? The hierarchical stage. He told you should respect all living entities, and then he gave the gradation among living entities, and he concluded that who is the greatest? I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of mine and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities of his life, everything upon me without cessation. So of all the Brahmanas, within the Brahmanas he gave some 6 categories, and then before that animals, and so it is very, very subjective. It is based on consciousness. It is not based on birth. It is an evolution of consciousness. So that's why if some animal, if it develops a consciousness, like Gajendra developed the consciousness of complete surrender to Lord, then immediately what happened? Lord accepted. Yes, all the monkeys in Ramayana. So they are very in a high level of position. Why? Because they dedicated all their activities and all their life without cessation to the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is said. In this verse, the word Sama Darshanat means that one no longer has any separate interest. The devotee's interest in the Supreme Personality of God's interests are one. For example, Lord Chaitanya, in the role of devotee, also preached the same philosophy. He preached that Krishna is worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the interest of his pure devotees is on the same as his own. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers, due to poor fund of knowledge, define the word Samadarshana to mean that a devotee should see himself as one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. Prabhupada is making it very clear. The word Akrita means without any sense of proprietorship. Everyone wants to act as a proprietor of his actions so that he can enjoy the results. So, this is our problem. We want to act as if the proprietor of our activities because we want to enjoy the result. That's why I say, I made it, I did it, because if I do it, the result will come to me, I will enjoy. A devotee, however, has no such desires. He acts because the personality of God wants him to act in a particular way. He has no personal motive. So this is where we have to reach. No personal motive. This is a devotee. When Lord Chaitanya preached Krishna consciousness, it was not with the purpose that the people would call him Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. Rather, he preached that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be worshipped as such. A devotee is most confidential servant of Lord, never does anything for his personal account, but does everything for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. It is clearly stated, therefore, my sanyasta karmana. The devotee works, but he works for the Supreme, uh, uh, for the Supreme. It is also stated, my arpitatmanaha. He gives his mind upon me, which is very difficult to give. These are the qualifications of a devotee who, according to this verse, is accepted as the highest human being. Mana satitani bhutani pranamedhu bahumanayam Ishvaro jiva kalaya prayasto bhagavaniti. Such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as a super soul or controller. Now he is explaining about that the highest state of consciousness. What is that state of consciousness? First he said you don't have separate interest. No separate interest. So this is the qualification. This verse is the qualification of highest consciousness. So how can we say he is having highest consciousness? No separate interest. So this is the first point. And then engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life to the Supreme Lord. Third is without cessation, no break. So these are the three qualities which we can prove that this person is in the highest stage of consciousness. In further explaining, such a perfect devotee offers respects to every living entity. So this is the fourth qualification. Because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as super soul and controller. Bhakti yogascha maya manava udhirita yor ekatrenai ive yor ekatrenaiva purusham brajet. My dear mother, O daughter of Manu, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of Supreme Person simply by that devotional service. Okay, it's a long purport. We'll discuss tomorrow. Thank you all very much. So we'll end here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.